It was Christmas Eve, but my wife wanted to go home with her young assistant. Felix's family is putting a lot of pressure on him, she said. They want me to go back and pretend to be his girlfriend. I tried everything to stop her, and finally she relented, but I never could have imagined that her young assistant would die in an accident at his home that very night. When she heard the news, Victoria went berserk. She shoved me out of the car, letting me tumble down the side of a cliff. "He'd still be alive if it weren't for you," she screamed. "You killed him, now you'll pay with your life." I died, writhing in agony. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on that same Christmas Eve. Sincere Sterling. Sincere, are you listening to me? I opened my eyes and saw the familiar face before me. "I won't be going home with you for Christmas this year. I already promised Felix I'd go to his family's place today. You know how his family is. They've been nagging him to bring a girlfriend home. And Felix has been such a diligent assistant to me all these years. I'm just helping him out. You don't mind, do you?" They were the exact same words as in my past life. A chill ran down my spine. But then, it hit me. I've been reborn at that thought. I immediately nodded. "Of course I don't mind, you should go." Victoria was stunned, her eyes wide with a hint of surprise at how readily I agreed. "Are you sure? I thought you were going to get jealous again." I took a deep breath and put on my most sincere smile. "Like you said, his family is putting pressure on him. We should always try to fulfill the wishes of the older generation. Besides," I added, "you're just pretending. It's not like anything is actually going to happen, right?" A flicker of guilt crossed Victoria's eyes, but she quickly composed herself, a bright smile spreading across her face. "That's wonderful. Sincere, I knew you were the most understanding man. Don't you worry, I'll be back right after the holidays to go home with you. However," her tone shifted, "Felix's grandmother is desperate to see her granddaughter-in-law, and she might be hard to fool. We might have to go to City Hall and get a marriage license, but don't worry, we'll get a divorce as soon as we've fooled his family. After that, I'll still be your wife. Once this is all over, I promise I'll make it up to you, okay?" I sneered inwardly. We had been married for 3 years, but we never got the official license. Victoria had always said she didn't want to be tied down by a piece of paper. Besides, our relationship was so good back then, it didn't seem to matter. But now, having lived through my past life, I heard her words and nodded calmly. "Of course, no problem. But if you need to get a license, you'll probably have to wait until City Hall reopens after the holidays. Why don't you stay at his family's place for a few extra days? Don't worry, I won't get the wrong idea." Hearing this, the suspicion in Victoria's eyes deepened. "Really, Sincere, you're acting a little strange today. Didn't you used to hate it when I spent time with Felix? Why are you being so generous all of a sudden?" So, she knew. She knew how much I minded this other man who had forced his way into our marriage. Felix Archer was Victoria's junior from university. The two of them had a bit of a flirtatious history back in college. I was aware of that. But I believed that everyone has a past. What I never expected was that Victoria's past was never really over. Ever since Felix Archer joined Victoria's company and became her assistant, their relationship had grown increasingly intimate. They even frequently went out together. I had offered to join them, but she would always refuse vehemently, accusing me of not trusting her. The old me would have been jealous, my mind racing with suspicion. But now, I couldn't care less. The painful lesson from my past life had already proven everything. I pulled her into an embrace, feigning deep affection. "Don't worry. I was too narrow-minded before. I now believe that your relationship is purely platonic. Whatever you want to do, I'll support you." Really, I had to make her believe me. Otherwise, this viper might turn her venom on me again. In my last life, when I heard she wanted to spend the holiday with another man, I had refused without a second thought. It wasn't just because she was my wife. It was also because my parents had prepared gifts for her. It took a lot of persuading, but I finally got her to drop the idea. But who would have thought that during our Christmas Eve dinner, Victoria would get a call? Felix's grandmother had committed suicide by swallowing rat poison. On the phone, Felix blamed Victoria for everything, for not coming home with him. You knew how much my grandma wanted to meet her granddaughter-in-law. I promised her. Why did you go back on your word? She was the only family I had left. What am I supposed to do now?" After hanging up, Felix jumped to his death from his apartment building. Upon learning all this, Victoria collapsed into tears, locking herself in her room for days. When she finally came out, she was like a different person, silent, withdrawn, not saying a word. It wasn't until the end of the holidays, as we were driving back, that Victoria suddenly asked to drive, saying she wanted to practice. Considering her recent mood, I didn't object. But I never expected that as we drove along a winding mountain road, she would ask me to grab a bottle of water, and then suddenly kick me out of the car. I clung to a small tree on the edge of the cliff, the bottomless abyss yawning below me. I tried to beg her for help, but she got out of the car, walked over, and kicked me viciously in the face. Her expression was a mask of savagery and madness. "This is all your fault. It's all because of you. You're the one who killed Felix. If you hadn't interfered, none of this would have happened. I hate you. Why wasn't it you who died?" She picked up a rock and smashed it against my head. As blood gushed from the wound, my grip failed, and my body tumbled down the cliff. After a series of searing pains, I lost consciousness. In the moment before my eyes closed for the last time, I saw Victoria leap from the cliff after me. Even in this new life, the memory of my past still sent a cold sweat down my back. The feeling of my bones shattering felt as fresh as yesterday. It took all my strength to pull myself out of that memory of agony. In front of me, Victoria wore a satisfied smile. "Good. It's best that you're so understanding. I'm going to pack my bags now. Remember to explain things to your parents later." With that, she rushed back into the house to pack, humming an unknown tune, looking exceptionally happy. When I helped her carry her luggage downstairs, I saw Felix Archer waiting by the car. Seeing me, Felix flashed a triumphant smirk. "Sorry about this, Mr. Sterling. I'll be sure to send Victoria back to you after the holidays." Then, right in front of me, he took Victoria's hand. I showed no reaction. It was only after they had driven off that the butler approached me from behind, asking cautiously, "Sir, your mother called. She's asking when you'll be coming home." After a long silence, I finally spoke softly. "I'll just pack a few things and head over." The butler sighed, a hint of pity in his eyes. Everyone knew how I had debased myself to pursue Victoria. I fell for her at first sight in university. Back then, Victoria was the campus belle everyone fawned over, and I was just one of her many suitors, naturally not earning her favor. I knew that to be liked, you first had to be exceptional yourself. So, the moment I graduated, I started working myself to the bone, building my own business. I endured countless hardships to achieve the success I have today. The very day my company went public, Victoria finally accepted my proposal. The me of my past life was so in love that I completely ignored the gossip that Victoria was only with me for my money. I never once doubted her feelings for me, but the moment she pushed me out of that car, I woke up completely. Thankfully, fate has given me a second chance. This time, no matter what, I will not be merciful. After packing a few things, I set off for my parents' home. On the way, my CFO called to tell me that Victoria's father had once again taken company funds to go gambling. He asked what I wanted to do. Victoria's father, Reginald Vance, was an absolute gambling fiend. In my past life, to give him a respectable living, I had created a cushy, high-paying, low-work position for him at my company. But not only was he ungrateful, he used his position to embezzle public funds for his gambling habit. I had mentioned it to Victoria, but she was dismissive, telling me with righteous indignation that if I loved her, I had to tolerate her family. Because of this, her father grew bolder, nearly bankrupting my company. Thinking of this, my voice was grim. "It's fine. Let him gamble this time. I wouldn't budge an inch. The law would run its course." When I got to my parents' house, they were quiet during Christmas Eve dinner, just piling food onto my plate. After dinner, while scrolling through my social media feed, I saw several posts from Victoria, pictures of them preparing dinner together, setting off fireworks, and a family photo. I liked each post, one by one, then shut my phone off. The next morning, the moment I opened my eyes, I got a call from Victoria. Sincere, Felix's grandmother was so happy to see me last night. She was already pushing us to get our marriage license. We might even have to hold a wedding in a few days. Don't worry, it's just an act. Before she could finish, I cut her off. It's fine, I understand. You're just doing it to make an old woman happy. Hearing me say that, Victoria completely relaxed. Oh, right. I remember you have a friend who's a wedding planner, don't you? Could you have him help prepare for my wedding with Felix? Also, I promised my wedding gift would be the latest model Maybach. You can go ahead and buy that too. Her tone was so entitled it almost made me laugh out loud in anger. As a grown woman, did she really not know what a Maybach cost? How could she so casually make such a shameless request? Swallowing my rage, I feigned a sigh. I'm sorry, Victoria. I'd love to see you get married in style, but the company's cash flow is a bit tight right now, and I don't have much money on hand. Besides, isn't it a fake marriage? Is a wedding gift like that really necessary? Victoria was instantly displeased. It's just a Maybach. You can't even grant me this one request? Sincere Sterling, do you even love me? Her reaction was exactly what I expected. After all, for all these years, whatever she wanted, no matter how outrageous, I would find a way to get it for her. In her words, loving someone meant being willing to spend money on them. The more you spent, the more you loved. But now I was no longer the sucker she could bleed dry. Maybe we should just forget it. It's just a formality anyway. You and Felix get along so well, right? Why bother with all these superficial things? My words made Victoria even angrier. This is my wedding and I've already promised. How am I supposed to show my face in public? I quickly soothed her with a few placating words, then offered a helpful suggestion. Why don't you have Felix pay for it first? After you two get divorced, I can pay you back. It's all the same, isn't it? Victoria grumbled a few times in frustration, but she didn't refuse. After hanging up, the holidays came to an end, and Victoria's promise to come see my parents was completely forgotten. I pretended to ask about it, but she just brushed me off impatiently, saying Felix's grandmother wouldn't let her leave, and that the wedding was set for just a few weeks from now. I feigned sadness. Didn't you say you were just pretending to be his girlfriend? How are you getting married so quickly? Victoria answered with annoyed condescension. Oh, I can't help it. Besides, why are you always making things difficult for an old woman? Don't you have any sympathy? With that, she hung up. When I tried to call back, a message informed me I had been blocked. A few days later, I saw a post on Felix's social media. The picture was, of course, his and Victoria's wedding photo. Seeing how intimate they looked, I found it incredibly ironic. In my last life, Victoria and I were together for so many years, yet we didn't even have a handful of photos together, let alone wedding pictures. She always said she hated having her picture taken. Now it seemed she just hated having her picture taken with me. The wedding was grand. At least, judging from the backgrounds in the social media photos, it was a level of luxury that Felix Archer could never afford. I continued to pretend I didn't care, sending a goodnight message to Victoria's account every evening, diligently playing the role of the pathetic husband. The next time she contacted me was half a month later. Felix's grandmother had a heart attack and needed surgery. They couldn't afford the medical bills, so they came looking for me again. I used the same excuse about the company's cash flow problems to put them off. This forced Felix to start borrowing money from everywhere. The two of them seemed to be lost in their own world. It wasn't until 3 months later that Victoria finally called, her voice dripping with accusation. Sincere Sterling, what is the meaning of this? Why has my card been frozen? The card she was talking about was the black card with no credit limit that I gave her when we got married. The only way it could be frozen was if it was maxed out. It seemed her spending habits were getting even more extravagant. She had forgotten who she was. Now, it seemed, the time was right. It was time to settle the accounts. I pretended to console her. It's okay, Victoria. A recent project was a huge success and a lot of cash just came in. How about this? You come home now and I'll give you a new card. Hearing this, Victoria was instantly overjoyed and bought a ticket for the earliest ride home. I hadn't seen her in a few months. She looked much healthier, and her flat stomach was now slightly rounded. The moment she saw me, she quickly covered her belly with her coat before striding up to me and holding out her hand. "Where's the card? Give it to me. Do you have any idea what it's been like? I haven't even been able to buy new bags or makeup these past few months, and Felix is drowning in high-interest payday loans. Hurry up and give me the money so I can help him pay them off." I smiled and handed her an envelope, but when she opened it, it wasn't a bank card. It was a photocopy of the marriage certificate that Felix had posted on his social media. Victoria's face fell. "What is the meaning of this? Didn't I already explain everything to you? Why does a grown man like you have to be so petty all the time?" I stared at her, enunciating each word. "I'm not being petty. I just wanted to confirm. You and Felix Archer are now legally husband and wife. Correct?" Victoria pouted. "So what if we are? Didn't I tell you we'd be getting a divorce?" "God, you're so annoying." I shrugged, my words laced with sarcasm. "If that's the case, then you and I have absolutely no relationship. Why on earth should I give you any money?" Victoria froze. Her eyes bulged as if she couldn't believe what I was saying. "What did you just say, Sincere Sterling? You're my husband. Everyone at the company knows that. What's the point of saying all this now? Or have you stopped loving me? Is that why you can bear to see me without money?" I felt a profound sense of calm, not a single ripple of emotion. "So what? Let's not even mention that we never got a marriage license. Even if we had, you used working overtime as an excuse to go off, marry another man, and even get pregnant with his child. Do you really think anyone would find that acceptable? Or is it that in your mind I'm just supposed to be your personal cash machine? Victoria Vance, aren't you a little too greedy?" At the mention of pregnancy, Victoria clutched her stomach guiltily, but she quickly adopted a pitiful, wronged expression. "How could you do this? I gave you the best years of my life. All I did was grant Felix's grandmother one little wish. And now you want to turn your back on me, is that it? And you promised you'd give me money. How can you go back on your word?" I watched her, my expression impassive, my voice cold. "I used to spend money on you because I loved you, but now things have changed. Did you really think I didn't know about the disgusting affair you and Felix have been having?" Victoria lowered her head, covering her face as she began to sob. "Sincere Sterling, You've gone too far. I've gone too far." I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. In my last life, I loved her so much. I couldn't bear to see her suffer the slightest grievance. I was even willing to cast aside my pride as a man just to keep her happy. And what did I get in return? I looked at her coldly. "Are you done crying? If you're done, then pack your things and get out." Victoria let out a loud, theatrical wail. Just then the butler stepped forward, blocking Felix Archer, who was trying to storm in. "Let him in," I said with a wave of my hand. Felix burst in, rushing to embrace Victoria. He wiped her tears away with a pained expression before looking up at me, his face contorted with rage. "Sincere Sterling, I used to think you were a man of integrity, but now I see you're nothing but a petty little man. You'll get what's coming to you for abandoning your own woman so cruelly." I couldn't hold back a small laugh. "I'll get what's coming to me. Are you sure? So what do you call what you two have been doing all these years? Was it just me being a nice guy? Was I your charity case?" They both froze, their faces betraying their guilt. They clearly never expected me to find out about their relationship. In my past life, I was like a fool, completely played by these two. It was only after being reborn, after I did some digging, that I discovered that every business trip they took together was actually a rendezvous for their sordid affair. In 3 years, they had booked hotel rooms together hundreds of times. Victoria's tears stopped. After a long moment, she stammered, What does that prove?" "Fine, I'll divorce Felix right now and get a license with you." "Will that make you happy?" I genuinely wondered what was going through her head. I pulled out a document she had made me sign before our marriage. "You remember this document, don't you?" It states very clearly that even without a marriage license, both parties must fulfill their spousal duties and not do anything to wrong the other. Looking at things now, have you really honored that? Victoria's expression shifted repeatedly, finally twisting into a mask of pure ugliness. No wonder you agreed so quickly back then. You were just trying to cut ties with me, weren't you? Sincere Sterling, you're not even human with that. She grabbed Felix's hand, ready to leave. Felix, let's go. I refuse to believe we can't survive without Sincere Sterling. This is perfect now. We can be together openly. Felix shot me a defiant look and spat on the floor in front of me. If I'd known you were so petty, I would have proposed to Victoria ages ago. Who are you to judge us? Tooey, I couldn't be bothered to waste any more words on them. I simply had the butler show them out. After they left, I instructed the household staff to clear out all of Victoria's belongings. Just then, Victoria's father called. The moment I answered, he unleashed a tirade. Sincere Sterling, what the hell is wrong with you? Some people claiming to be auditors just showed up, saying I embezzled public funds. Didn't you say you'd take care of it? He had always believed his daughter was a goddess. Marrying her was the blessing of my previous life, in his eyes. So even though his job and his gambling money all came from me, he never thanked me. He wouldn't even give me a pleasant look. The old me, trying to manage Victoria's emotions, would have at least been respectful, no matter how dissatisfied I was. But now there was no need for explanations. You're a grown man. Embezzling company funds is illegal. Do I really need to teach you that? Victoria's father was stunned for a second, then he exploded. What's with that attitude? Let me tell you something, a wonderful girl like my daughter marrying you is an honor. With an attitude like that, do you even have any respect for me, your father-in-law? Fix this right now, or I'm going to prison. I took a leisurely sip of tea. This is a legal matter. I don't have the authority to intervene. He raised his voice, a clear threat in his tone. What do you mean? Do you want me to tell my daughter to divorce you? I'm telling you, there's a long line of men waiting to court my daughter. Who the hell do you think you are? I scoffed. You're right, I'm a nobody. I assume your daughter never told you we never actually got a marriage license, did she? Mr. Vance was stunned. After a long pause, he stammered. What did you say? What kind of marriage did you two have without a license? Then what have you two been doing all these years? Yes, what have we been doing all these years? It was my own unrequited foolishness. I had always believed that even without a license, if I just loved her enough, she would truly be mine. But after my past life, I had long understood. That woman's heart would never belong to me. Let's just say I was out of my mind. Now I'm cured. So don't you yell at me. If I were you, I'd get my affairs in order and then quietly wait to go to prison. With that, I hung up. But the tenacity of this father-daughter duo was beyond my imagination. My secretary called to say that Mr. Vance was causing a scene at the company, demanding to see me. Ignore him. Tell the auditors to speed things up and get the PR department to blow this story up. After giving my instructions, I leaned back on the sofa, feeling more relaxed than I had in a very long time. That night, my phone was blown up with calls. Besides Mr. Vance, most of them were from Victoria. She furiously questioned me about her father's situation. What will it take for you to stop? Sincere Sterling, you're such a heartless man, you're going to hell for this. I ignored her and sent her number straight to my block list. The next day, when I arrived at the office, I found a crowd gathered at the front desk. Victoria, in the middle of the crowd, saw me and immediately pointed her finger at my nose, screaming curses. Sincere Sterling, you're inhuman. You're already so rich. Why do you have to make things difficult for my dad over a little bit of money? He's been arrested by the police. Are you satisfied now? I was with you for 3 years. Are you really going to show no mercy at all? I ignored her and simply called for security. I've already made everything very clear to you. If you continue to harass me, I have no problem arranging for you to join your gambling addict father in a cell. Before Victoria could say more, her mother, Margaret, stepped forward to stop her. Sincere, dear, you need to calm down too. Victoria told me what happened, and she was a bit impulsive. But you two were together for so many years. Search your heart. Haven't there been times when you've done wrong too? Otherwise, why would a good girl like Victoria cheat on you? When it comes down to it, it's because you weren't man enough. This talent for twisting the truth made me scoff. Security, get these two out of my building. Seeing my resolute attitude, Victoria's face grew even uglier. She gritted her teeth and yelled, "Sincere Sterling, you're so heartless. How can you face the child who died because of you?" My breath caught in my throat, a sharp pain piercing my heart. Early in our marriage, Victoria had gotten pregnant. We had a daughter. She was born premature, but I was ecstatic about her arrival. The moment they were discharged from the hospital, I hired 3 nannies to care for my precious daughter around the clock. The tragedy happened at our daughter's first birthday party. All our friends and family were there to celebrate, but Victoria refused to make an appearance, claiming she needed to take care of our daughter after the party. However, I found that Victoria wasn't in the hotel, and our daughter was gone too. I was frantic and immediately called the police. Victoria was found, but our daughter was missing. A few days later, I received the news of our daughter's death. According to our investigation, one of your nannies likely abducted the child when no one was looking. As for the motive for the murder, it may be related to your business rivalries, Mr. Sterling. Hearing this news, Victoria fainted on the spot. When she woke up, she was filled with resentment for me. It's all your fault. If you hadn't insisted on hiring those nannies, how could she have been taken? You killed our daughter. Seeing her on the verge of collapse, I suppressed my own questions and didn't press her on why she had abandoned our daughter to leave the hotel. Besides, our daughter's death was a massive blow to me as well. During that time, our lives were consumed by grief. To atone for those mistakes, I could only be even better to Victoria. But now, Victoria stared at me intently. "Say something, are you mute? You promised you would be good to me for the rest of my life. Have you forgotten so quickly? Have you forgotten how our daughter died?" She wailed, as if she were the victim of some great injustice, crying a river of tears in her mother's arms. A glint appeared in Margaret's eyes. She feigned a sigh and shook her head. "You see, Sincere, dear, my daughter getting a license with Felix was wrong of her, but you're at fault too. If it weren't for you, my granddaughter would be running all over the place by now. How about this? You both take a step back. You forgive Victoria and get her father out of jail, and I'll let you two live a good life together, all right? What right do you have to mention my daughter?" I looked coldly at Victoria. "If you hadn't abandoned our daughter to go have an affair with Felix, how would she have been taken?" "Victoria Vance, do you really think you're so innocent?" Victoria's crying stopped abruptly. She stared at me, her eyes filled with guilt and panic. Margaret quickly jumped in to smooth things over. "Oh dear, that's all in the past. Why bring it up? Look, Sincere, don't you worry. I will personally handle this business with Victoria and Felix. It won't delay you two getting your license at all. If you're still not satisfied, how about you hire someone to beat that Felix up to let off some steam? How does that sound?" Before I could even speak, Victoria became indignant. "Mom, what are you talking about? What right does he have to hit Felix? I won't allow it." Margaret raised her hand and slapped her across the face, hissing in a low voice. "Shut your mouth. You might not want your designer bags, but I want your father out of jail." A look of reluctance crossed Victoria's face. After a long moment, she finally nodded and looked at me. "If you apologize, I can continue to be with you." I shook my head with a cold laugh. "In your dreams. You might be willing, but I'm not willing to be a sucker anymore." Margaret grew angry, her face hardening. "What do you mean, sucker? I've already told them to get a divorce. What more could you possibly be unsatisfied with?" I pointed a finger directly at Victoria's belly. "She's pregnant with another man's child. Is she willing to get rid of it?" Victoria could no longer contain herself. She shoved her mother aside and stormed towards me. "Are you insane, Sincere Sterling? Isn't it enough that you killed your own child? Now you want me to abort my child with Felix? You'll pay for this." She raised her hand to strike me, but I slapped her first, sending her sprawling to the floor. What right do you have to say these things to me? Do you think you can wash your hands of our daughter's death? I'll make it crystal clear right now. Even if you get rid of that bastard in your belly, I will never, ever get back together with you. Seeing my unyielding stance, Margaret lost her composure. No matter what. Our Victoria has been with you for so many years, you can't just throw her away. That's irresponsible. Fine, don't get married, but for my daughter. He's lost youth. You at least have to give us $10 million, otherwise this isn't over. I was so stunned by her outrageous demand that it took me a moment to recover. I shook my head with a cold laugh. Stop daydreaming with that. I had security throw them out. The farce finally ended with the mother and daughters wailing. After sending them away, I immediately contacted my lawyer and had him post the evidence of Victoria's affair online, even paying major social media influencers to share it. In no time, the two of them were being torn to shreds by furious netizens. Meanwhile, I retreated completely, untouched by the storm raging in the outside world. Half a month later, as I was leaving the office, I saw Felix Archer waiting at the entrance. When he saw me, he rushed over, his face filled with uncontrollable rage. Why did you post all that stuff online? Because of you, my grandmother got sick. I raised an eyebrow. What does that have to do with me? Besides, isn't it all true? Felix was at a loss for words for a moment, then his eyes filled with a fierce glare. What do you mean? What does it have to do with you? She's collapsed. She needs bypass surgery. You have to give me the money for the surgery, or I'll make sure Victoria leaves you forever. Even now, did he really still think Victoria was some important figure in my life? I offered a kind reminder. What's wrong? Did you pay off all your payday loans? You still have the energy to waste my time? Felix froze, as if something had dawned on him. His eyes slowly turned bloodshot. It was you? You did it on purpose, didn't you? You wanted me to take out those loans. It was all you. I couldn't be bothered with him and had security drag him away. As he was being removed, I offered one last piece of advice. Was it my money you spent? Think about it. Later, Reginald Vance, who had been hiding out in his hometown, was taken into custody. For embezzling a large sum of public funds, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. In prison, he demanded to see me. The moment he saw me, he started screaming curses, calling me heartless. I just waited for him to finish, then pulled some strings to make sure he was well taken care of inside. Margaret Vance also came to my house a few times, but I refused to see her. She caused all sorts of scenes, even trying to smear my name with filth. But the only thing she got for her trouble was a pair of handcuffs. As for Felix's grandmother, her heart was already weak. After the story broke online, people were constantly showing up at her house and her hospital room to cause trouble. Under the weight of the cyberbullying, she couldn't take it anymore. She had a heart attack and died in the hospital. Hearing this news, I couldn't help but sigh. Even with a second chance at life, it seemed some things were destined to never change. His grandmother's death was a huge blow to Felix, and his personality changed drastically. He never had much love for Victoria to begin with. The only reason they were together was for the thrill of the affair. Now that Victoria had no value left to him, his attitude took a sharp nosedive. They began to have violent arguments. Weighed down by heavy debt, Felix started drinking heavily. Every night he would come home and beat Victoria. During one explosive fight, Felix kicked Victoria so hard that he caused a miscarriage. The day she was rushed to the hospital for emergency surgery, I happened to be at the same hospital for a checkup. In the hallway, I ran into Margaret and Felix. They were in the middle of a screaming match. Margaret was grabbing Felix's arm. You good for nothing, it's bad enough you have no money, but now you dare to hit her? You caused my daughter to have a miscarriage, you have to take responsibility. Felix showed no mercy, shoving her to the ground. How was I supposed to know she was so fragile? Besides, it's not like I forced her to get pregnant. She's the one who's a slut, spreading her legs for me and telling me not to use a condom. She got what she deserved, you. Margaret clutched her heart, finally managing to squeeze out a sentence. She only married you for your old crone of a grandmother. How could you? Before she could finish, Felix spat right in her face. Cut the crap, my grandma never said a thing. She's the one who came crawling to me, desperate to be my wife. To put it bluntly, she's just a cheap whore with that. He viciously kicked Margaret, who was clinging to his pant leg, and stormed off. His words made me realize something. From the very beginning, Victoria's story had been a lie. I couldn't help but feel a pang of pity for the me of my past life. I had died without ever knowing that it was all just that wretched woman's one-sided fantasy. How utterly laughable. Just as I was about to leave, the doors to the operating room opened. Victoria was wheeled out. In just over a month, she had become shockingly thin, almost a skeleton. Her face and arms were covered in bruises and cuts. It was clear her life had not been easy. When she saw me, a look of joyful surprise lit up her weak face. "Honey? Honey, is that you? You've come to take me home, haven't you?" I let out a derisive chuckle and shook my head. "Ma'am, I think you have me mistaken for someone else. Who's your husband? Didn't he just walk away?" Victoria stared at me, her eyes brimming with tears. "Honey, I really know I was wrong. I never should have left you. You don't know what it's been like. Felix is a monster now. He's in debt, he's always drunk, and he hits me. I regret it. Can we go back to how things were? I don't want much. I just need you to give me some money so I can recover. Please, I beg you. I swear I'll always stay by your side. I can't live without you. Please don't leave me." I looked at her coldly. The shamelessness of this woman was truly beyond comprehension. "Don't you think it's a little too late for regrets, Victoria? You're the one who was tripping over yourself to go have another man's baby. Now I don't love you anymore. Whether you live or die has nothing to do with me. My only hope is that you never come near me again. The thought of you makes me sick." Victoria's face grew even paler. How can you say that? Don't you love me anymore?" I don't believe it. You wouldn't abandon me, right? You used to forgive me for everything I did. Why have you suddenly changed? Yes, why? Perhaps it was because the pain of my past life was too great. I never again wanted to experience the gut-wrenching agony of being murdered by the person I loved most. Just thinking about that feeling made me break out in a cold sweat. When I didn't answer, she became even more hysterical, screaming at me. "Say something you don't want me anymore?" Tears streamed down her cheeks. She looked truly pathetic. Without a moment's hesitation, I nodded and said coldly, "I have no desire to plant a time bomb in my own life. With a cheater, there's no just once. There's only the first time and countless more. I will never trust you. Whatever love or reluctance I once felt had all been shattered to pieces when I tumbled down that cliff in my past life." I turned to leave. Victoria cried out, struggling to tumble out of her bed and onto the floor, reaching for me. But I didn't even turn my head. I just walked away. Not long after, I heard that Felix, deep in debt, had his legs broken by debt collectors. He became a complete and utter waste of life. This drove Victoria further into despair. She came back to my house, begging me to take her back, but she was always turned away by security. Unable to see me, she started messaging me on every social media platform, live streaming her sob stories, trying to use public opinion to force me into a reconciliation. Unfortunately for her, the evidence of her affair was still all over the internet. The internet never forgets. She was quickly torn to shreds by righteous netizens. Every time she tried to show her face online, she would be flamed until her account was shut down. A month later, due to complications from her miscarriage and the untreated injuries, her wounds became infected. She died a miserable death in a rented room. When I heard the news, I was meeting a woman my parents had set me up with. "What's wrong?" the girl asked. She was gentle and graceful, nothing like Victoria. I smiled and put down my phone. "It's nothing. Just a spam text." She was completely gone from my world. From now on, I was going to start a new life.